All right, we are live. My name is Vaibhavv Ali, and you are watching Aura 8 by Kryptonite.ae. And I'm glad that we have Joyce back on the show. Joyce, you like your name, with the energy, you are extremely joyous. How is the day going, and how has the celebrations of the 4th of July been?
Do you know, there's nothing like the 4th of July because, first of all, you have fireworks and it reminds you of what you appreciate. And we're grateful for our independence, but it also makes you think about what freedoms we have in the US, but also all around the world. And it gives you an appreciation for where we are and how we can live every single day. And it's just one of my favorite holidays of the entire year because of the fireworks. And because my birthday's close by.
If
so
if
huh?
if you love fireworks, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Beautifully.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was saying that, if you love fireworks so much, you should actually come to India during this festival called Diwali, which is a festival of lights and fireworks. Every single street in India is lit up with fireworks. So, but then,
When is
you're
it?
most welcome to Dubai because Dubai is the best city in India. So we do have the fireworks here too.
Wait a minute. Dubai is the best city in India. Is that what you
Yes.
said?
That's actually true.
Yes.
There's
Yeah,
a
because
city in India called Dubai?
No,
sorry?
they just but like Indians just allow people who were born in Dubai to stay there because there's more Indians in Dubai than there is anywhere else.
Well, there are lots of Indians in Dubai. But yes. So when is the festival?
The festival usually is around October, between October and November. Uh,
Okay.
so basically, it's just massive fireworks all across. And the reason why I say Dubai is the best city in India is because the food that you get over here is better than India because, of course, UAE has a standard of procuring raw uh, uh, products, which is far more superior. Though mostly it comes from India, but in India we get the basic stuff because they can then sell it for a higher price in different parts of the world. But the trivia about Dubai is that if you know Hindi or Urdu, you don't need another language to survive in this country or in this city because even the locals speak in Hindi, and the and everybody from your security guard to your real estate agent to the shop next door to even a high-end restaurant, you would have somebody or the other who would be Hindi or Urdu speaking. So that's why I call Dubai the best city of India.
Well, they do have some of the best Indian food I've ever had in Dubai.
Yes. And Brian, thank you for joining in. Welcome to Aura 8. I love your background. Tell us a little more about that first to begin with.
So these are companies that we've invested in. So we've invested in a lot of companies. So yeah, we have a couple of hundred companies we invested in. So I put the face of all of the companies on the wall. So even that guy there, like if you look at his thing, he says a lot of founders will say really nice things. Actually, I'll show you. A lot of founders will say I actually move them around the wall depending on who I'm hating on or who I like. But like people like this are like will say nice things like, "Oh, it's not done until it's done." So very inspirational. And then people like this have been around a little bit longer, and they say things like, "Nobody knows anything."
Nobody
So
knows everything. Okay.
so I think founders of companies are about people, and it's about stories, and it's not about logos. So we get everybody's picture, everybody's story, everybody's face, and what everybody's doing all the way through.
Wow, this is
Love that. That's
so
cool.
inspiring. So I think after a very long time, I have felt like, I felt inspired. I can't say after a very long time, but then, like on a personal level, I felt really inspired. Like I I would like to be a part of such founders, or I would like to have this around me, because this is so cool. No logos. Like you go to Sequoia, you go to any major VC firm, they talk about the project that they have invested in. And Brian, here you are actually living up to the proverb saying that invest in the jockey and not in the horse.
Yeah,
So
the story more than the jockey. Most founders are purpose based at the beginning, and so it's about like how that journey goes and what happens with them over the period of time. So yeah, we've invested in lots of founders. We've invested in tons of founders in India, tons of founders in Africa, tons of founders in none in Dubai. The problem with Dubai and UAE, I don't think we've invested. Have we invested in anyone? We invested in a few folks in Egypt, but that was about the closest. The problem is when people are too comfortable, are too transient. It's very, very hard to get great founders who are truly dedicated to building a phenomenal story. And so Dubai is still a baby in that area. So we haven't done much there. But in India, give me Bangalore any day. You could give me 500 Dubais. Give me one Bangalore. That's
I
right.
am a Bangalore boy.
Yeah.
I've lived all my adult life in Bangalore. Not just my adult life. I grew up in Bangalore, and I
It's a great
moved to
city.
Dubai
It's a
what
great
about
city.
4 years
Yeah,
ago. Have
it's a
you?
great city. Yeah, I've been there tons of times. We're a big investor in Beehive, who are one of the biggest co-working spaces in Bangalore. They are the biggest
Yeah, Shiv,
co-working space in
the
Bangalore.
guy just did a triathlon. Uh,
Yeah,
I'm
Shesh is a
forgetting his
good
name.
buddy of mine.
Yeah,
Shesh.
Shiv, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Look, there's money in Indian founders. That's the truth. A lot of money.
And I think, Joyce, I don't know what is your experience been with Indian founders, but Indians generally have, or rather, they're very resourceful. Brian, have you heard of this Indian word called jugad?
No.
Okay, so jugad, if you polish it down, it would sound like being resourceful, but even I'm underplaying that. Basically, it's on the lines of minimum input, maximum output. Like
Yeah.
Indian will never say no, this can't be done. He would say yes sir, yes sir, and then figure out how it needs to be done.
Yeah.
So that's a
I
foundation of
lost you
Indian
guys for a
culture.
minute.
I think Indian moms are just terrifying. And so
Yeah,
these kids come out like brutalized. And so they build like over here we say to our kids, if they do well in school, maybe they get a B, we're like, oh my God, you're so awesome. You're so good. Like everybody gets a prize. But try surviving in IIT, which is like the MIT. Like if MIT was like really advanced, it would be called IIT. and then try getting through like the million people that apply for IIT every single year. Yeah, it's a great culture. It's a brutal culture, but there's going to be, it's grown from like 5 or 10 startups to a couple of hundred startup unicorns within only a few years. So yeah, we like it a lot.
So, Brian, since you've been going back and forth to India, but you're also getting ready to do an event in Silicon Valley, can you speak about this corridor that I keep hearing about on AI between India and Silicon Valley?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, you know, the thing is, it's been the only difference between Indians and Israelis is that Indians are very quiet and humble about like what they've achieved. But if you look at Silicon Valley, like go back 20 years ago, Israelis absolutely deserved their place as being tech central of the world, like founder nation, startup nation, and everything, because 1 in 3 of every public company was had a founder who was Israeli. But if you look in Silicon Valley today, like everybody is Indian, like anyone worth anyone, like any of the top CEOs, any of the top CFOs, any of the top HR people, they're all Indian. So the thing is, this happened 20 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago, really, really quietly. Nobody spoke about it. Nobody had done. But what's actually fascinating is it's not so much the corridor of Indians continually coming over here. What we're starting to see is a lot of those extremely successful, multi-$100 million valued individuals going back to India. So it's very, very, very interesting. So for me, it's not so much even that I'm looking. Look, I'll probably invest through the dojo in, I don't know, 700 or 800 companies in the next 5-7 years or so. And I would say if less than 50% of those are Indian, national type people, I would be surprised. But it won't be Indians just coming over to Silicon Valley. I think that's maybe an arrogance all of us have because we think, oh gosh, they need to come here. But the consumer market in India is ridiculous right now. So I think it's just that fascinating culture and that opportunity that everyone here, like I love one thing about Dubai and I hate another thing about Dubai. Like I love about Dubai is it's this amazing place where anybody can do anything. I hate about Dubai is like a lot of people who will come will feel that you have to like get something very quickly to win. Right. And so there's this immediate gratification thing. If I don't have it in a year or 2 years or 3 years, I've failed. The really cool thing about what's happening in India is people have got patience. And you have this amazing multi-state country being built where the states are all competing against each other. The schools are all competing against each other. The moms are all competing against each other. And it's no longer about we all got to leave India to go to another place. Now it's about we can make $100 million just by being in India. Mm-hmm. So it's cool. Very, very cool right now.
This is so true. I've rarely heard from someone else such detailed explanation of the Indian mindset and the Indian ecosystem. Let me also talk about this, that India at one point of time was the suicide capital of the world. And this were the kids, actually, not just adults, but the kids who actually went through immense pressure because, like how Brian said, IIT, which is Indian Institute of Technology, apparently it is even more competitive than MIT because of the sheer population that we have. Everybody needs to do well. And I think a bit like China, we are very proud of our grades. We like to talk about the grades our kids have gotten. We are very proud about, the school that our child goes to. We have this mindset that we like to brag about our children. And because we like to brag about our children, we need to make sure that the kids are performing at a much higher and a much superior level. And just in case, if your kid has got 98 and my kid has got 97, I'm going to be really upset. and I would be like, next time you need to do better than Brian's kid.
Yeah,
I mean the competitiveness of helicopter moms.
Yeah,
Similar, yeah,
but that's
similar.
going to be great for us. So you think about what's happened over the last 30 years. Every boy had to be an engineer, every girl had to be a doctor or an engineer, right? And so you have 30 years worth of people who are trained on engineering in a world that has, like, in 5 minutes become an engineering world. Like, it's all AI. And so I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
our kids have got no chance over here. Like, our kids have been doing fine arts and and like business degrees. Like, it's fine, it's okay, like it's great, like they'll be okay. But like actually, I'll tell you something really fascinating, and then we might as well just change this podcast to the Indian podcast. But like, so before the Brits came to, actually, I'll say something about July 4th, which is, I love July 4th. It's my favorite day. I actually did a post, if you saw it, Joyce, on LinkedIn. I was like, I just came to our front door and I took a picture of the front door. And I was like, hey, I just feel the appreciation of living in this country and being in the center of innovation in the world. And it's a beautiful thing. And I think that's the nicest thing about July 4th. And I'm kind of totally torn when the day happens, because one part of me really wants to call all of my American friends and say, hey, I'm so proud that I came here and this is my adopted country. And I'm way prouder of here than anything of Ireland before this. But then another part of me really wants to call every British person and talk to them really about how much they've fallen in the last, I'm really torn. It's like, it's really hard. So I'm texting people and then they're texting me back Treason Day, and then I'm taking Treason Day and I'm putting smiley faces on all of their people. So it's a great day for me. But here's something really interesting about India. So India, before the Brits, do you know what percentage of global GDP that they had? Global. So like, divide all of the wealth of all of the countries in the entire world. India had, how much do you think they owned before the Brits?
What do you think, Joyce?
I would never have guessed this, by the way.
And Joyce, just to give you a hint, India was called the Golden Bird.
The Golden Bird?
Yeah.
Yeah, India pre-independence was called the Golden Bird.
So I'll tell you the answer, because actually the next question is even more interesting. 34% of global GDP was Indian. Now, next question. After the
34%.
of the entire world, they owned the world. They were America, they were Rome, they were Greece, they were everything, right? So India is not a developing nation. India is a nation that had everything stolen from it. Now, number two, what would you say their global GDP was as soon as the Brits left?
%18.
2%. Okay, but that's not even the interesting piece. That's not the interesting piece. The interesting piece is the impact of psychological terror on a race, whether it's African Americans, whether it's Indians, whether it's anything else. So 20 years after the Brits had left, considering it was 2% when they left, what would you say that their global GDP was? Brits had gone. They had total autonomy. They could do anything they wanted to do. They were 2% 20 years beforehand. What would you say they were 20 years later?
Good question. 5%? 6%?
1%. So that is what mind conditioning does to a population. And that is also why when we look at African Americans here, when we look at any population which is being decimated through colonialism, it takes an awful long time to find their place. So if we had been, and I say all of this, number one, because people should know this, like, it's crazy that people don't know. But number two, because everything in life, when it comes to investment, is about timing. There was no point in investing in India 20 years ago because the mind control terror was still predominant. Today, however, there is a mix that it's not just that the global GDP has gone from 1% to 6 or 7% or wherever it is right now, and it's going to go up to 13%, and it's going to keep going up. Like, the next 10 years would be Indians' 10 years. Their stock market will continue to fly. Their innovation will continue to fly. I believe there would be more unicorns in India than there are in the United States within 10 years. I believe it will become the preeminent nation for all innovation over the next 10, 15 years. And it's important for people to know, because you don't find that in Silicon Valley. In Silicon Valley, the companies are already too expensive and the Indians are already too American. right? You find it in Bangalore, you find it in Delhi, you find it in Jaipur, you find it where all of these, you know, the Indian Institute of Madras, you find it in all these places where these kids are going to come out of. And so you now have all these kids coming out of these schools, and you have all of these people from the United States coming back to India, like the Zoho founder and all these guys who know very well how to build a billion-dollar company. You fuse those two things together, and you have India of the past. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. I'm done with India. That's like, it's my piece.
No, 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 please. I think so. All our live streams that we do is not scripted at all. We give out no questions, and we do have a topic, but the way I like to do is build one question at a time, and I love the direction that this is going at, because Joyce seems to be completely surprised. I've never seen Joyce flabbergasted throughout. Like in the last.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joyce.
Well, Brian, you made me think about demographics because you talked about the innovation that was coming out of India. So India's population, the median age is 29.5 years old, and under 25 is 40% of the population, which gives you an idea of how they will grow and expand. And if you compare that to the United States, the average age, the median age is 39.4 years old, which is 10 years older, right? So if you think about it, it's like India's got a long way to go. They also have a huge population. I don't know how it compares to China, which I could look at it, but it's interesting.
We are the most populous country in the world. Sorry, George. Just to add on to that, we are the most populous country in the world. We are the most youngest country in the world, and at the same time, the majority of the population has more disposable income than ever.
Wow. And I would think that the people that is male-female ratio is more balanced versus China. Because remember, China had the one person, one male per family rule, right? Where they were favoring that. So it'll be interesting to see how this advances into the future.
Since Brian mentioned well about Indian history, there is a quick thing that I want to talk about, the English history. Apparently, the kids in school in England are not taught about any atrocities that the Britishers have caused around the world. The English kids are absolutely unaware that they came to India and they looted. They went to Pakistan and whatever they did, and so on and so forth. Like, the kids have no idea at all. Like, it does not exist in their textbooks.
Yeah. I mean, human beings inherently have done bad things over the years. I don't think there's many countries that don't have a part of that. Like, we have our shame here in the United States. I'm sure, like, if you go into African countries, there's plenty of like individual kings and kingdoms that have got their shame as well. Like, people just inherently, have a tendency to lean. Oh, let me rephrase it. The more powerful people are generally the more sociopathic people. The more sociopathic people generally lead like the bad things in the world. I think the nice thing about the world that we live in is we live in a world of creativity, which is the opposite, right? So we get to just focus entirely on building beautiful things. And so I like that. I think there's only so much that we can do to deal with things we see in the world today, whether it's Iran, whether it's Palestine, whether it's anywhere else. Like, there's only so much that we can do. But what we can do is focus on building beautiful innovation and then finding out where that innovation comes from. And my job is really to use math to work out where that innovation is going to come from and what's the highest probability of being able to get it and what's the lowest price to be able to invest in those companies. That's just all I do. And so, I'm highly privileged. Joyce and I have been friends for years and years and years. I think it's super interesting right now. Like, I adore the idea behind crypto and, how you get freedom of currency, which I think is actually the new slavery that the entire world is tied into. But now, crypto is sitting in the sidelines a little bit and watching AI. And AI is a whole different ball game, and not all of it is good. A lot of it is manipulation and greed and stealing and taking away from public markets and redistributing to extremely wealthy families. So I think we're going through like a very, very, very interesting time right now, where more money is being distributed around the world than has ever happened before. And so that's the world that I live in.
You know, many VCs claim that they back exceptional founders early. And I know a bunch of them.
Hang on, let me just stop you for 1 second.
Sorry, go ahead.
How many times have you ever watched an interview where someone has gone looking for a job and they've said, hey, listen, just quickly before we start here, I just wanted to let you know that I absolutely suck at every single aspect of this job. Right? VCs suck.
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, VCs suck. Generally speaking, VCs suck. Like the vast majority of VCs, like 50% of VCs are underwater today. The only reason that we have like these ridiculous valuations where you've got SpaceX been given the valuation they're given is because VCs desperately need to be able to take back money and redistribute it out to people that they've done a shitty job on. Like, so that's what's happening. So like the last thing we should ever do is glorify a bunch of jackasses who use other people's money and then provide very inadequate returns to those people because they have no idea what they're doing and they've spent most of their lives, you know, being investment bankers and playing with VC. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? VCs.
Brian, that is perfect tell them what your conference is about at the core.
No, I love venture. I love venture. I think venture is a great space. I do. I think like the world is amazing, and I think there's amazing innovation. But the fact that nobody in venture capital has to justify proper returns, and there's no public way to be able to tell how Andreessen compete with a early stage VC or how an early stage, like there's no way to tell. Nobody knows. And so what everybody does is they just go for like the thing that accentuates them the most. So imagine somebody walking out on the street and maybe they're like 400 pounds, but they have a beautiful nose. And so all they talk about is, Matt, you just got to look at my nose because my nose is a nose for Vogue. But it's like, yeah, but like there's other areas you got to work on, man. And so I'm just saying, it's like VCs, we cannot talk about just that they got one unicorn 400 years ago, where in the meantime, they keep losing people's money. And then they talk about things like, yeah, man, it was a bad vintage or it was a bad thing. No, you suck. Somebody works really hard for that money. And the same applies for crypto VCs. Actually, it applies more for crypto VCs than it does for other VCs, because half these people got out of school and then they thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be a VC because that doesn't look very hard. And then I'm going to take like $50 million of somebody's money. And then I'm going to bullshit them about the fact that we're going to give them 3x on their money, which we're never going to give them. And then I'm going to lose their money. And then I'm going to be like, yo, man, that's just the market. That's the way things are. No, it's not, you loser. You should never have done this without actually learning what this business is like in the first place. So, yeah, that's what I think.
I'm loving this live stream. It is, I think, one of the most honest live streams that I've ever had. Sorry, Joyce, go ahead.
Okay, Brian, you're talking about it as if from an investor standpoint, like you invested with a VC and they're talking about the returns. If I look at it from a startup perspective, because the startups want to, and I've always said this, that all money is not equal, right? Because which VC or which angel investor you align yourself with will open doors, right? Yeah. Isn't that the point of it? So part of it is it's a long-term relationship, because a lot of these VCs have a longer time horizon than many marriages.
Yeah, but what doors? Look, I'm a boy fan. I'm a boy fan of Michael's, right? Because Michael Turpin, which of course we all know here, he's math based and he's experience based, and he has spent his whole life studying Bitcoin. I'm just saying that like you need to have more than 30 seconds experience to suddenly be a great VC. Like, you need to actually understand the space, and opening doors to what? To a Ponzi scheme of other people that are going to invest money. There's only one important person in this equation. It is not the VC. It is not the family office. It is most definitely not the startup. It is the customer. There is only one person. Anthropic, give me a fucking break. Anthropic are like 5 minutes old. How can you possibly give a valuation of like $1 trillion to a company that's suppressing competition in other countries because it's going to mess with the valuation? Like, how can you do that? Like SpaceX, the first 9 pages of the S1 were pictures. SpaceX is a glorified NFT with every part of it losing more money than all NFTs prior to it. Like, what are we doing right now? We're in the craziest world, and the entire public markets have just been stolen in the last year. Stolen. When you have a company that's going public at $1.7 trillion, there is nowhere for it to go. That means that the public are going to be out with pitchforks within 10 years. Like, we're done. We're toast because the VCs have been given so much power. And here's what I think happens. I think a couple of bros in Silicon Valley were like late at night and they're like, man, it's really hard, these public markets. There's so much regulation. And they're like kicking my ass all the time. And we can't do insider trading. And we can't tell our friends like what's happening with companies. It sucks. And then a little bit later in the evening, after a few more gin and tonics, like one of them is like, hey man, what if we took the entire public markets and we took it into the private markets, and then we wouldn't have to worry about insider trading, because it wouldn't be called insider trading. It would be called just telling Max, right? And it's okay to tell Max in private markets because that's not illegal. So like, we don't even like the public markets. We got to deal with regulators. Why don't we get rid of it all? And so that's what's happened. So VCs needs an entire recalibration. The idiot institutional investors who have been putting money into Ivy League funds just because they're big need to have a kick in the ass so they can start looking at returns. And they've got away with it in the last 10, 15 years because the stock market has gone amazing. But they are going to get destroyed. The pension funds will get destroyed, the education funds, the university funds, all of them. They're all going to get killed because they're lazy. And the funds that think that they can deploy $100 billion out of Silicon Valley are going to get absolutely massacred, because the same thing that happened with SoftBank before is going to start affecting people that are no more than glorified cash machines for carry and fees. So no, I don't think funds have any value in the world at all. I think family offices should start investing directly because they're the only people who knew how to make any money in the first place. I think they should start banding together. And it's not even what I'm suggesting. This is what's happening. Family offices are pissed off with funds. If I get one more pre-seed VC shilling Anthropic stock like they're El Chapo in the back of the school gates, because like, what are you doing, man? You're a pre-seed VC and you've suddenly got access to some Anthropic. Like, give me a break. So yeah, I think all VCs should go away. And I think family offices should start partnering up to get access to incredible deal flow. And then I think they should use their access to corporations, customers, and consumers to be able to help these companies grow so they can start doing transformative value.
But don't you think that's part of the trend, is that there's more and more family offices? And they seem to be taking more of a prominence than even VCs right now.
You're totally right. I'm not saying anything that's not happening. I'm just saying stuff that people are not talking about.
Brian, could you also tell us about the Broken VC Summit? We would love to know, like, what is the narrative and what's the agenda.
So I'll tell you something funny. I'll tell you something funny about it first. We wanted to do it in July, but too many people were on holidays. We're like, dude, this is like a very serious summit. We need to talk about the future of VC. And there's no I don't know, hidden agenda. It's just about getting. We have to change the date.
When's it going to be?
No, we got to change it to September. We're doing two things, right? So is that good? Good, because I really want to talk. So because I desperately want, like I said, I just respect people who really, really, you know what I respect? I talk often about Africa and India. And the biggest difference between Africa and India is IIT. and how moms are in India, right? And because you have all of these children that need to have an incredible education, and every single mom in India knows there's no shortcut. There just isn't. If you want to be incredible, you have to work for like 5, 7, 8, 10 years to become the very best that there is. There's no shortcuts. So Africa needs to have a place where 23,000 kids can come out of every single year as some of the most brilliant engineers in the entire world. I think VC needs the same thing. Like people like Michael are the IIT of VCs or family offices or allocators or whatever way that you want to describe Michael, right? Someone who understands their business because he spent 30 years understanding that business. I spend every day knowing that I don't have enough time in this. 12 years is not enough time. I need more year. I need more data. I need more understanding. I need to get more access. And I don't need more time analyzing startups. I need more time helping startups engage with customers so I understand the challenges they're facing when I invest in them properly. This is not a spectator sport. This is not a on the golf course talking with my friends from Sequoia about who I invested in and what a great VC I am because I opened the door to DoorDash. This is about me being deep in the companies, and this is where the transformation is happening. So we're going to see it over and again. And the VC Summit is going to be in September. We're going to bring in the thought leaders who are going to talk about what's happening in allocation of money into innovation. I'm desperately hoping Michael is available. And we're going to have other people that are going to talk about impending recessions, what's happening within the money markets, how much debt is owed to other countries, what's going to happen with that debt, how is that going to affect normal Americans, which is going to affect consumerism. What is the actual real fundamentals of the large companies that are coming out? Not what have we seen with SpaceX in the last 3 months, because that was obvious. It's what are we going to see with SpaceX within the next 2 to 3 years? Are OpenAI going to have the balls to actually come out and do an IPO when most of the liquidity has been sucked out of the markets? How is everything that's happening in AI, which is way more of a Ponzi scheme than the ICOs were back in the day, like how is everything that's going to happen there, how is that going to affect what's actually happening in the public markets and with consumerism, and where's that going to lead to? So yeah, that's what it's for. It's an open conversation with very smart people trying to work out how do we make a lot of money with what comes. A recession comes, I want to make money. Tough times come, I want to make money. More innovation comes, I want to make money. India rules, I want to make money. Crypto comes back, I want to make money. And we're all that's what we want to do.
I am so excited that I want to book my tickets right away to be a part of your event because, from what you have narrated, sounds on point because I've worked closely with a lot of VCs in the crypto sphere, and what we speak hush hush is what you have spoken proudly and boldly on this live stream, right? And I absolutely agree with you. But let's talk about your 266 plus portfolio companies. Which one do you think will actually reach maybe 100 million plus ARR in 2026? And how many do you think would be zombies soon?
So our model is kind of a unique model. So I would call myself, firstly, we're not a VC because every investment we do is inside one company. So if anything, we're kind of closer to a Berkshire Hathaway. So we put 26 and a little bit $million into those 266 companies, and everything is price-based. So we're very much a price-based investor. So when we invest at the beginning, we invest as an accelerator, which means we're getting 70% discount. Every single company that we invest into, we allocate resources for growth into those companies, and we ask for warrants on those companies. So we get, again, price-based reasoning as well. So we always get warrants of like $1 million to invest at a 10 million valuation within a 3-year period, always. We will never invest in those companies unless they're worth at least $50 million, and we would prefer them to be worth $150 million. I don't want to invest beside Sequoia. Like, why would I want to invest in an overpriced round? I want to invest always on discounts. And then when we do private equity into companies, we want to get at least a 95% discount on those companies that we invest in as well. So everything is just price based. We have a couple of companies, and then the idea is the 266 companies that we invest into, I don't even see them as investments. They're normally like 50K or 100K. I see it as like the price to get into the casino. That's all. The companies that I see as investments are the $1 million investments that we make at a $10 million valuation. And we're only making it at a $10 million valuation if the company is worth, like I said, between 50 and $150 million in value at that time. And so that's around 10, maybe 12 warrants that we've exercised. And then we've done 2 private equity deals, actually 3 private equity deals, where we'll do $2 million into those companies. But again, we get a 95% discount. So think of me as like the Peaky Blinders of investment, right? It's not pretty, it's not nice. It's very much like we're breaking in, but we're providing huge value on growth support when we do it. So I think the first company to hit 100 million in ARR will be Credit. We're invested in. Michael has got a piece in that as well. They should hit 150 million ARR this year. That's year 4 of their existence. Those guys are rocking and rolling using stablecoin. I think they'll be one of the biggest companies in the world in not just remittances, like the building the rails of international banking. I love the area of movement of money between. I love that like India uses UPI, but nobody else uses UPI because everybody's like, I want to use my thing. So Africa, I don't know what Africa uses, but they use something. Most of the time, WhatsApp.
Paisa.
Nah, listen, they use what? Look, yeah, they do. Look, they use 15 different pieces of technology, but I will tell you, most large FX transactions are done through WhatsApp. So even with the largest money movement, and I know everybody there. I know the Flutterwave guys, I know the M-Pesa guys, I know Paystack, I know all of them over there. Like that's our world. But this is a good thing. This is not an insult. It's a good thing because the international rail still needs to be built. China are going to do more business, not just with Africa. China already own a very large percentage of Africa, so they're doing a lot of business there already. But they're going to do more business with Europe. And the thing is, Europe, even though they don't like China, they like the US less. So they're going to do more business with China just to piss us off, which means that China is going to be moving money left, right, and center. The UK, well, their reign of terror or love or whatever the hell they thought it was is done. So they have no friends whatsoever in the world. So they need China to be their best friend. So they're going to be doing loads of business. So international movement of money is going to be massive. I think there will be 20 multi-billion-dollar companies that are going to come out, not just multiple Razor Pays, multiple Flutter Waves, multiple M-Pesa, multiple of these companies are going to come out in the next 20 years. And I think Credit, 3 to 5 billion within the next 2 years. So we like that company an awful lot. We got a nice piece there.
Very good.
And then we have like, I don't know, Clinexus just hit, I think they'll hit like 40, 50 million this year. So maybe 100, 150 next year. Great company doing care at home. Gesture on fire up in New York right now. North, another great company in New York, are on fire right now. Who else do we have? Matchbook. I love Matchbook. I think we'll get Matchbook to like 50 to 100 million within 2.5 to 3 years. Clasha. I think Clasha will rock over in Africa. Those guys are great. Who else do we have? Yeah, like maybe M80. I like M80. Like they're esports. Esports is brutal, but Marco he's a warrior. So you know, if we get we're looking for a huge franchise at the end of this month. If we get that franchise, that would be a massive win. So yeah, I think look, there's loads of opportunity. The only problem any of us have is a recession is going to come. It's impossible that it doesn't come. And when that recession comes, we just got to make sure that we are no longer in Dodge. We've got to get out of Dodge City.
You know, Brian, the way you explained your gameplay of investing as low as possible and getting a 95% or an 85% discount, I am right now emailing the Indian government to give you an Indian passport because you've spoken like a true Indian. We love discount. We love the best deal. And you have exactly spoken like that.
I did a TEDx talk in Kerala about 6 months ago, which is actually warning Indians of the dangers of copying the US system too much. I think the greatest challenge India has is actually its own success. That's the greatest challenge. It's not actually innovation. It's not breaking through. It's not education. It's that it's at risk of being colonized by itself in a really weird way, even though that kind of makes no sense. But like, yeah, look, India's cool. Price-based is always good. Price-based is real estate. It make like paying too much. Like it's ridiculous paying. Honestly, I'll tell you a funny story. I had this one guy who came to me like during ICOs, like right at the beginning of ICOs. And he's like, hey man, I want to raise money for a dating app. I was like, yeah, we can stop you right there. We don't do dating apps. Like dating apps suck. And like, I literally don't know anyone who hasn't lost money on a dating app ever. And no disrespect, I'm sure if anybody's listening and you have a dating app, God bless you, you can do fine. But like for my whole life, it's never worked. Anyway, so the guy's like, yeah, you're wrong and you're an idiot and you're a fool. And I'm like, fine, that's okay. I probably am. But then he came back like 6 months later and he said, you know what? You just lost so much money because we did an ICO. And we just raised $10 million on a $50 million valuation on dating. And I'm like, look, leaving aside the fact that, you know, maybe this was the greatest ICO of all time, which it wasn't. And leaving aside the fact that, like, I don't even understand why you do an ICO. Like, why would anybody who has ever dated me in their entire life want to be remembered on the blockchain? Like is that, I mean, if the blockchain works in the reverse, where it guaranteed you to forget X's, I think it would be awesome. So there's just a lot of stupidity out there, but I think it's also fun. So what the hell?
You know, what has been the single biggest operational or strategic shift you are making in the next 16 months or maybe 12
Private
months?
equity. It's all about immediate liquidity. The world is going to go to hell in a handbasket. We have maybe 3 years. California is bankrupt. The people in California can't afford to pay their rent at the end of the month. There is abject poverty for the first time. Like this beautiful, gorgeous, amazing dream is at the greatest risk it's ever been at because a small group of people are stealing what is rightfully Americans. And it's a huge, huge, huge problem. And so I think, so for me, everything, like we even stepped away from the initial early stage investments just for a year or so, because we're like, we need to focus on taking our late stage companies to liquidity now. We need to be in a place of strength when it comes, because when it comes, it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be like 2000. It's going to be awful. People are talking about like 1919 rather than, and so it's like 1919, 1920, like 2029, like it's just, or sorry, 1929, like 2029, like the 100-year tsunami. And so I think it's going to be nasty. Yeah, a Great Depression.
Wow. Joyce, do you have a follow-up question on that?
Wow. Yeah, I'm just going to say that billionaire tax that they're trying to do on California is chasing all the people over to Florida and Texas.
Yeah.
So
yeah. We lost
and then what's going on in New York is what?
We lost 2/3 of our billionaires. All gone. All gone. They've all left because these people are idiots. That's why.
Yeah, it's like one of the most stupid things that you could do, right?
We have like the greatest country. We have like the greatest country in the world, Joyce. Like this place is amazing, and just we have people, and this isn't about Democrats or Republicans. I think it's not political. This is about like the people are not being represented like in any way, and because of that, a small group of very sociopathic people are just really destroying everything that we have, and it's being disguised, and it's very sad. And so, look, we live in our world of innovation. I can't do much about that. We have. You know, I live in Santa Monica. I desperately want to get out of Santa Monica because I think it's hurting. Anyway, I shouldn't say that, but I just did. But one thing I do know is like 3 years. 3 years is like all we have, and so we have 3 years. The SpaceX is going to bring a bunch of liquidity to the market. The OpenAI, if they roll, will bring a bunch of liquidity. Anthropic will do the same thing. I spoke with somebody just before this call who said to me he believes we will hit recession by the end of this year. And I was like, please let you be wrong, because I need a year and a half to 2 years. Yeah, I need a year and a half to 2 years, or I'm in big trouble. So, but a year and a half to 2 years is fine. So every single thing we are focused on is growth hacking alongside our companies in the most aggressive way that you can possibly imagine to help those companies get to liquidity events so that we can have a large amount of money in the bank, and we're able to take this new world that comes at us and make sure that we Rockefeller this world.
And for founders listening to this, what is your piece of suggestion or advice to be prepared for the doomsday?
Love your customer. You know, everybody, one of the great casualties of what's happened over the last couple of years is this immediacy. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, we have to like grow this fast. We have to have, no, just build incredible companies that your customers need. Look, if a recession or depression come, there's certain areas like are going to get hit worse than others. Like if you have a gym, maybe you want to look at like, how do you build up cash flow? Because you only have to survive through, that's all. Like even a depression is what, a couple of years, and then you come out the other side. And so you just have to survive through. You just want to build up a cash reserves. You want to build an amazing product, like love your customer like you've never loved them before. Make them feel loyalty to you like never before. Like help them out, do things for them, build loyalty programs. Make sure you like, you know, it's a flood. That's all it is. It's just a flood coming at your house. You got to get sandbags and you got to make sure that your house is protected. You don't leave your house. You make sure that your house is protected. So you build up cash flow. You make sure you've got money in the bank. You're preparing right now to make sure that you're doing it. You make sure you have the most efficient product with the best possible margins that are built into it. And you love your customer. That's all. Nobody's running anywhere. I'm just building up cash reserves. So I'm not in a place where we're like, shit, when did that happen?
And your customers are your biggest advocates.
Yeah.
Your biggest advocates to help you grow. So
I just traveled on, honestly, I just traveled on Emirates coming back from, there was like a really nice conference, a guy called Anthony Ritosa, who I really like, actually. Like he's got his challenges with some of his competitors saying bad stuff, but I really like this guy. And you know, you've been there, Joyce, you're gone. He did one in Lake Como and Michael's gone, and he's just a really nice human being. And so, but I was flying back anyway with Emirates, and they tore my bag. It was my favorite bag. I really liked that bag. Like Ash gave me that bag. It was my favorite bag. And I wasn't going to check it in, but there was a layover, and then I checked it in, and then they tore it all the way down the sides. And so I wrote to them, I'm like, guys, you're Emirates. Like, it's not cool. And they obviously took one handle and they ripped it and they pulled it off. And they wrote back to me and they're like, we got you. We're going to give you $50. I'm like, I'm never going to use you again, ever. And I'm so in your demographic. And it's just because you piss me off so much with like $50. Like, why would you do that? You know? And if Ryanair did it, I wouldn't. It's so bad, right? But if Ryanair had done it, I wouldn't have been upset. I would have been so grateful for $50 from Ryanair because that's their brand. But if you're on brand with being one of the greatest airlines in the world, do not
and charging like it.
stuff. Yeah, that's all. Treat your customers right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You know, Brian, we have had a fantastic conversation. We are 8 minutes down to the end. What would you suggest the kids who are perhaps passing out of college now and they have no idea what's going to hit them in terms of agentic AI and AI?
Listen, I'll tell you what I told my kid. Okay, so I'll tell you two little stories about my kid because one of them involves XRP. And so I need to include that because I need to pay homage to crypto. So my kid got into LMU, Loyola Marymount, beautiful college, right? $80,000 a year. And he got in, he's like, Dad, I got into Loyola. It's really cool. I was like, oh man, I'm so proud of you. And he's like, Dad, a lot of the other parents, they kind of help. And I'm like, yeah, but like I'm Irish, so I'm not giving you any money at all. Nothing, not a dime, anything. But this is kind of a gift because this is where you get to be a man and you get to like work this stuff out and see how you get on with your life. Anyway, so he comes back to me after a year. He took a gap year trying to work it out. Anyway, next year he comes back and he's like, hey, I worked it out. I'm going to go to Santa Monica Community College. And this is one of the great things about America is like everybody can go to college because there's always something. And Santa Monica Community College is like $80 a year. And he said, I'm going to go there for 2 years and then I'm going to transfer over. And I was like, well done, son. I'm proud of you because you did a cost comparison on like money in, money out and what the world is all about. I think all of these things, by the way, paying for $80,000 a year for college, paying $100,000 for a marriage, paying for all these things. These are all different steps of slavery which have been put in place to keep us working for our entire life. Anyway, that's just me. Anyway, so he's like, oh, I worked it out. I'm going to do this. I'm like, yeah, okay. You worked out the first 2 years, but what about the other 2 years? He said, oh, I just bought like 15 grand's worth of XRP. So, and then I was like, okay, I'm proud that you've done something, but I'm just not sure XRP is going to go up in the short term. And anyway, so he lost money in XRP, which is tragic, but he still made a decision to be able to do stuff. So I said to him, I said, here's what I'm going to do for you. I am going to give you a guaranteed way to be able to make $10 million. Okay, because you only need $5 to $10 million over the next like 20 years. So you can live the rest of your life happy. That's all you need. You don't need more. You can't really do drugs, and you got to like take it easy on the alcohol, and you got to take it easy on the divorces, and you got to like take it easy on like being silly stuff like nice cars and houses and stuff. But you can live a great life, and you don't need to be a slave, and you don't need to work for somebody your whole life. You just need like somewhere between $5 and $10 million. So I'm like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lend you $100,000 at a 5% interest rate, and then you're going to take that, and I'm going to give you a company in India to do a pre-IPO on. And the pre-IPOs in India is like the greatest secret that nobody understands. Not IPOs, pre-IPOs. So I'm going to give you 100 grand to go into it, and then you're going to double your 100 grand. Like, it's very hard not to double your 100 grand over there. And then we're going to take that 200 grand and we're going to put it into two companies. And we're going to chase this rabbit into the hole for the next 5 to 7 years. And you get your $10 million. Like, literally, that's how it works. I think the Indian IPO market is the greatest opportunity of our time that nobody knows anything about. And even if we have a terrible depression over here, that will not necessarily transfer directly over to India. So I just think, I don't know what's going to happen with AI. I don't know what jobs are safe. I know it's a terrifying time. And I know that the best job that you can possibly have in your entire life is not to have a job. So chase Indian IPOs, pre-IPOs. That's it. That's all I got. I got no other advice.
Well, this is the most unique advice.
Give recommendations on which ones?
I would say buy crypto. He already lost all his money on XRP.
Yeah, if he would have asked advice about it beforehand. It's all about market
there
timing.
You go. Yeah, exactly. Right. Did he ask Michael? No, he did not. He just went out there to Coinbase and bought his XRP at $3. Come on.
That's right. And just because they saw it on TikTok does not mean you should be taking their financial advice.
Exactly. You heard that, right? TikTok or VCs, don't listen to either. But anything in crypto, I was like, but I didn't have the heart to say it to him after he lost his money. I was like, this is not a time he's really looking for a lesson from his dad. This is the time where he just wants to hate me. So it's okay.
So here you missed out being an Indian dad.
Yeah, that's true. I think Indian dads are pretty soft though, right?
So I think our generation is the only generation who perhaps have received a thrashing and a mouthful from our parents and from our kids. We are stuck in this sandwich generation that we had to, give an update to our parents what time we are coming home, and also give an update to our kids what time we are coming home, which I don't think ever happened in the past.
Yeah. So anyway, everybody needs to just fight for the revolution against the man. This is going to be a bad time. You cannot just follow social norms. You got to look. I think crypto next year, by the way, is going to be awesome as well. And so I personally will be going heavy on crypto next year. And there's only one person I'll be speaking to about that, and that is Mr. Michael Turpin. But I'll be going heavy on crypto. As soon as we start getting exits, I'll do it. Like what's happening right now, if Michael was here, he'd be like, Brian, then you read my book. It's in the book. It's supposed to happen.
There you go.
That's right.
Well, for everybody who's listening to this, we get Michael every Friday on a show, and we have a conversation about the week that was and the week that's going to be on Bitcoin. And, Michael's a super cool guy. The book that Joyce was showing, you should buy if you haven't bought it yet. It is available on Amazon.
Yeah.
Bitcoin super cycle.
And if anybody has the privilege of having Michael deploy some of their money along with his own, you're a lucky person, because everybody else, it's true, they're just watching TikTok. God bless them.
So now we are almost at the end, and my last question to you is: in which direction should one pursue their career in at this point of time?
No
Agentic
career.
AI.
Don't do a job. I already said this. No job. Why does it, sorry, at what stage? Nobody ever on their deathbed said, I wish I'd worked just a little bit harder. Jobs are not a good thing to have. They're a bad thing to have. If you want to do good in the world, awesome. Do things that help people, that like just help them. Build up your financial resources early. Get involved with investing. Understand crypto. Understand all other alternative investment models. Don't be a schmuck. Don't waste your money. Like, get to that $10 million mark and never, ever work again. But you can dedicate your time to helping people, to doing good things in the world. That's awesome. But just don't be a schmuck. Don't be a schmuck. Don't work for people.
Well, I cannot end the live stream on a better note than this. Go ahead and build your dream. I think this conversation is perhaps the top three that we have had. And by the way, today is our 50th episode that we have gone live. I think my conversation with Dr. Ben from Singularity Net is one of the top three with you, Brian and Joyce. What a fantastic conversation we have had, and I've loved every bit of it. For everybody watching us out there, I think day after we are going live with a very dear friend of mine, Nick Spanos. He was the guy who started the first Bitcoin exchange, an absolute OG in the space and a very dear friend of mine. So, this is what you need to wait and watch for the upcoming episodes. But Brian, thank you from the bottom of my
My
heart.
pleasure.
A big thank you. And Joyce, a bigger thank you to you, for partnering BitAngels with Aura 8 and bringing such amazing guests. Brian, we would love to have you back. Joyce, is here every Tuesdays, but we would love to have you back with a couple of more outspoken VCs like yourself, because I think this is where the magic happens in our conversation. So a very big thank you to both of you.
My pleasure.
Please,
I'm with my friend
please
Joyce.
don't exit
That's what
because
I
I
asked
need
for.
to